This is the Debate Hour. And now in this corner, your host, Errol Mars. And in this corner, who gives a shit?
All right, Speedy, hit me.
Round one.
Which running back will be more productive and have a standout season on their new team? Both, oddly enough, from the same draft and both moving to new teams.
Two of the top running backs in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Melvin Gordon or Todd Gurley?
Go ahead, Speedy.
So I am going to take Melvin Gordon in this one. I think, not that the Broncos are a better team than the Falcons necessarily, but I think right now Gurley's injury history concerns me a lot more, and I also think Gordon will get more opportunity as a result with the Broncos. Atlanta's a high-potent passing offense team with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, a lot of weapons on that team. So it might be
Calvin Ridley that completely fell off last year in the second half. Yeah, him.
No, he fell off in the first half. He got better in the second half.
I think he fell off at the end of the second half.
He struggled in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but at the end of the season, the last 3 games, he struggled too.
All right, but again, you're right. He wasn't the same player he was his first year.
In the middle of the season, he was dominant.
But I know that. But I'm saying he still is a good receiver, though. And obviously, Julio Jones is maybe the best in the league. So
I would say he is. Yeah.
You would say you have a very potent passing offense as a whole, where it might take a while for him to get worked into the offense. And Atlanta's got an extra second-round pick. They got extra third-round picks where they could draft another running back, too. And there's a lot of good running backs in this draft. Now, I also think for Gurley, his injury is a lot more serious, where you saw the Rams last year. They had to keep him out a lot of games. They had to really limit his carries. I don't think you're going to have that issue with Gordon. Gordon's had some injury issues, but his have been really mild for the most part. Really, at the most, maybe 3-4 week injuries that they've had to keep him out. So I just think he'll get more opportunity as a whole. The Broncos' offensive line, it's not great, but it's definitely serviceable.
They lost a lot of pieces this year.
Did they, though? I don't think they lost any tackles.
They lost McGovern.
Garrett Bowles had a bad year.
They lost McGovern.
They lost McGovern, but they got Graham Glasgow, who's a nice player. And they're still
McGovern's is a better player.
I don't think it's drastic either way, but it's a solid replacement. Now, I just think, again, Gordon's going to get more opportunity, also in the receiving game as well, because Phillip Lindsay, I thought, who would get more receiving game last year. He didn't really get it. It was more Royce Freeman who was getting it, but I don't think Royce Freeman's going to steal it from somebody as good as Melvin Gordon. So I think you're going to get more opportunity like that. And again, because Lindsay's there, he's not going to be a featured back like he was with the Chargers, but I still think he'll get more carries as a whole than Gurley, and I think he'll get more opportunities. And I think with the Broncos' defense being better than Atlanta's right now, they're going to be in more lower-scoring games where they're going to want him to control the clock, and we'll see what Drew Lock becomes. They're going to try to ease him in. I just think Atlanta's going to be in a lot of shootouts this year where they're not going to run the ball as much, and they're going to keep Gurley, just limited him so
they can have
him for a longer season. Yeah,
you like to drag things
too
long.
I was just finishing.
Yeah, well, you finished too long. I told you we have a certain amount of time, and you drag things out 5-6 minutes talking about the same.
5 minutes. That was probably 3 minutes.
No, that's a long time. And my thing is pretty quick. I'm going to take Gurley because Gurley's on a team right now. Dan Quinn, who believes in the running game. He comes from the Seattle Seahawks, who like to run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. I think Gurley's a power back, something they haven't had the last couple of years. Coleman is a borderline power back, but he really wasn't a power back. And Freeman, say what you want, he is legitimately one of those two-way running backs that can catch the ball in the backfield. Gurley is a power back. He can catch the ball on the outside, but he's now going to be sustained as a power back for a team like Atlanta. I think he's going to have a lot of touches. He is the number one guy. He will be the number one guy. There's no more Coleman. There's no more Freeman. He is the guy. And I think they're going to run the ball a lot with that offense, especially when everybody keeps talking about Ryan taking a step back. He's not the same quarterback he once was. He does have weapons. He has Julio Jones. It will open up the run game. And even Calvin Ridley. These guys, the weapons that they had. They did lose Hooper, who is a big loss for them as far as the tight end's concerned. But I like what you see adding somebody like Gurley to that team. He's going to give them more running possibilities, especially power running. That's something they haven't had the last couple of years. So I like Todd Gurley as far as I'm concerned for both. And I like Melvin Gordon too, but I like Todd Gurley on the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is the Atlanta Falcons' year to make another move for a Super Bowl. So if they could stay healthy.
If they can draft well, I could see it. But again, they need to replenish.
They got to stay healthy.
They need to stay healthy, and they need to replenish
They
need to replenish a lot of what they lost too, because they purged a lot. All right,
round two.
Which NBA player this season had the better comeback season? Chris Paul or Kristaps Porzingis? So this is interesting because I think, again, the numbers are similar and the opportunity is similar, but I am going to take Chris Paul just because I think that the Thunder as a team just really
By the way, I let Speedy he gets to pick the one and I have to argue the other guy. So
yeah, I think there was one time I let you pick first because I was torn, but yeah, that was it. But I'm going to take Chris Paul just because I think the team, the Thunder, of what they were supposed to be, they weren't supposed to be anything this year. And Chris Paul really has rejuvenated not only their season, they were a 5 seed in the West before, obviously, this hiatus that they're on, and nobody was expected to be a playoff team. He's put up good numbers, more pure point guard numbers, 17.7 points a game, 6.8 assists a game. Again, on around a team that's not very talented. Those would be 9-10 assist numbers on a better team. Whereas Porzingis, he has more points, 19.2 points a game, and obviously rebounds. He's a bigger guy. So his numbers in certain areas are better, but I think Paul's impact on that team has been a lot better. And he's doing well in the areas he needs to do well in. 90% free throw shooter, 6.8 assists per game, and he can shoot both 3 and 2, which is important for him to do. Porzingis, again, he started off very slow in the beginning of the year. He's come along more recently. Now, Dallas isn't a great team either, but again, he's also helped out by Luka Doncic, who was in the MVP race for all year. So he has that to help. Well, Chris Paul who is his next best player? Steven Adams. So I'll take Paul in this one.
I'm going to take Kristaps Porzingis. I think Chris Paul has been sensational this year as a point guard in a point guard position, which I think is the most important position in basketball, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who really lost a great point guard in Russell Westbrook this offseason, going to Houston Rockets. Adding Chris Paul, a lot of people thought Chris Paul was not the same player he once was, but he's a great defensive player, great two-way player, one of the most underrated two-way players we've seen the NBA ever have, and he's been sensational this year. But Kristaps Porzingis has been also sensational, offensively, defensively, I think he averages close to 2 blocks a game. I mean, I like what Porzingis has brought to the team. He doesn't bring a hard-nosed big man to the Dallas Mavericks, but he gives you that second-tier guy, that number 2 guy that can give you the points and give you the opportunity to be a successful team in the NBA. So, especially in the Western Conference. Now, they're not a good team, but they're missing that one guy or 2 guys that's going to help them off the bench. That's going to give them enough to get them over the hump. But having Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis is not a bad 2 guys to build your team around. So, I do believe Kristaps Porzingis has had just as good a year as Chris Paul. I like what Chris Paul has done this year as a leader. And right now, if the season were to end, you're talking about Chris Paul taking a team that, to me, was not a playoff team as a 6th or 5th seed to a Dallas Stars team that was a borderline playoff team with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis as a 7th seed. So it has been incredible what Chris Paul has done, but also Kristaps Porzingis.
All right, final round. Which NBA player can you somewhat compare in today's game to Michael Jordan? Obviously not compare directly.
I'd like to hear this from you.
That is not LeBron James. All right, so
don't use Kawhi Leonard.
I am not using Kawhi Leonard. I am using Damian Lillard for this one. I'm going to take Damian Lillard for a couple of reasons. One of which I think his leadership is excellent and has been with the Blazers throughout his career. I think Michael Jordan, when you talk about his leadership with the Bulls, that really makes a difference. I think Damian Lillard has that instincts, those leadership skills, and that killer instincts with the big shots, smart basketball plays. Obviously nowhere near the defender of what Michael Jordan was, and nor the overall player. But, I mean, if you were to compare somebody in terms of just a well-rounded game, he could do pretty much everything and just has that great leadership, great postseason player. Again, he hasn't had the talent around him, and he's had a hard Western Conference to deal with. So they haven't made the NBA Finals, but they made the Western Conference Finals last year. They made the playoffs, and deeper in the playoffs with teams that weren't very good previously. Really just him and McCollum for a while, and maybe, again, Aldridge when he was there, but they didn't have a lot of depth, and he was still an MVP candidate a lot of the time, one of the best point guards in the league, and I think one of the best leaders in the league. So if it wasn't LeBron James, obviously nobody is Michael Jordan in today's NBA, but if it wasn't LeBron James, I would say it's Damian Lillard, the closest thing in terms of resemblance of a leader and in terms of the killer instinct that he has.
I'm going to say, and I know a lot of people are probably going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to take superstar and superstardom, and a guy that is the center stage, who's going to be the center stage of the NBA for the next couple of years, really the next 15 years, and that's Zion Williamson. I think Zion Williamson, what he has done offensively since he's come back from his injury, and really what he brings to the NBA. He brings that superstar guy that changes the game, gives you a different force. He's not LeBron James. He's not Michael Jordan. They're not similar players, but he could dominate at his size and his his weight, what he can do on the floor is something that we haven't seen before. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Same thing with LeBron James. Same thing when we say about some of the top players we've ever seen, Magic Johnson. That's what Zion Williamson could do. He's become a better shooter. I think he's going to transition into a better shooter because of his ability to understand the game and his athletic ability. Now, he's got to stay healthy. But I think his change in the way he reps the NBA and really becomes the face with the Z on the side of his fro. I mean, Zion Williamson is the closest thing to a superstar, to LeBron James, to a Kobe Bryant, to a Michael Jordan. That's what they need. That's what the NBA needs. They need superstar players. As good as the Greek Freak is, he's not a superstar player you can build your organization around. You need that guy that's going to open his mouth. You need that guy that's going to do the things that you haven't seen a man or a woman do in any professional sport. I think that's what you want to see, and Zion Williamson delivers that. So as far as superstar is concerned and what he can do on the field and off the field, Zion Williamson would be the guy, the closest thing to me as far as producing another Michael Jordan style of game.
I guess the iconic player of the game too, which he could definitely be with him getting popularity already in high school.